Okay, so now I know it's not the spark plug. I'm gonna pull the air cleaner off now and give it a little shot of ether in there and see if it'll fire off. Okay, we got a fuel problem. For some reason, the propane is not getting into the carburetor. Now I've just got to figure out why. Because I'm this far into it, I'm going to go ahead and pull the valve cover off and check the valve tolerances, check the valve lash to basically see if it's within spec or not. A lot of people thought that the valves may need to be adjusted on this motor, so I'm going to go ahead and check that. I started tearing all things mechanical apart when I was old enough to turn a screwdriver. For whatever reason, taking a clock apart and trying to put it back together was satisfying to me. I can remember a couple of different times taking my bike apart thinking I was going to make it better, and the end result was a trip down to Pat's Schwinn on Main Street with my dad to get my bike reassembled. So one valve is a little bit out of lash and one valve is a little too tight. So I'm going to adjust them both to right about 4 thousandths, somewhere between 4 and 5 thousandths. And I don't think that's the issue, but it's definitely not going to hurt things. And it's surprising that, that one's out as much as it is. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. I feel as though I'm comfortable around mechanical things. I can typically figure out through a process of elimination why things aren't working the way they should be. I enjoy doing this. This is part of the reason I drive an older truck, I suppose. This is also part of the reason I was a pretty good plumber. Common sense combined with a little bit of troubleshooting and experience helped me along in this profession. As I went through the process of figuring out what was wrong with the generator, I continued to feel like I was overlooking something. There's my problem. I'm almost positive it's the regulator. I'm going to separate the fuel solenoid from the regulator just to confirm this. But when I open this up by using a jumper on it, I'm not getting any fuel out of it, any propane out of it. So let's find out if it's the regulator for sure. I didn't follow the process of keeping it simple, eliminating the obvious things first, before assuming it was something more critical. I'm going to use this jumper and open up the fuel solenoid, and if this is the problem, then propane should come out the end of the regulator. For this reason, we were without power for 4 days. Did you hear it? One more time. That's our problem right there. That's our problem right there. Now I gotta go see if I can find one. Dang it. Something so simple. Somebody told me to tap on it. Yeah, it's still not going up to the regulator. I'm gonna go try and find a new regulator. That's all I can do. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm having a great day. Let me tell you why I'm having a great day. The generator's back online, okay? Thought it was the regulator, thought it was the valves that needed to be adjusted, thought it was the spark plug, determined it was a fuel problem. There was no propane getting to the carburetor. So maybe check the carburetor, right? You know, I like to think I know my way around engines. Check the carburetor. This particular regulator requires a vacuum to open up. If the valves are not properly adjusted in the head and it can't create that vacuum because they're not sealing properly, you may not get propane to the carburetor. I adjusted the valves. I put a new spark plug in. The one thing I didn't look at was the carburetor. The end result was one nut and one bolt had shaken loose, the mounting bolts on the side of the carburetor, which broke that seal, which prevented the vacuum needed to get the propane to the carburetor to fire off. The regulator's good. Everything's fine. I adjusted the valves. They were a little bit out of tolerance, but we're good to go. I had the guys from Lion Energy here all day yesterday, and the last thing that we had to do before they could leave, they were here until almost 8 o'clock last night, was fire up the generator to make sure the batteries are properly charged. The new battery system, the new bank is properly charged. And I couldn't do it. And we tried to use my backup generator, but it doesn't produce what's called clean electricity. It didn't fall within the proper Hertz parameters. I decided to pull the air cleaner off and take a hard look at the carburetor at 7 o'clock last night with a headlamp on. It was dark, it was cold. These guys were sick and tired of being here. And all I had to do was spend about 3 minutes tightening those nuts and bolts up, and it fired right off. It charged the batteries. The generator ran until about midnight last night. From midnight until 6 a.m. when Cedar and I got up with the kids, 6% of the battery bank had been used. Typically, it's 2 to 3 times that much. So our new battery bank is more than double what we had before. And I can't wait to tell you more about it, but I can't tell you a whole lot about it just yet. But I want you to remember one thing. As you watch our videos, as you see the hot mess that is my attempt at life, keep it simple, right? Check the carburetor, air, fuel, what's the third one? Spark. Check the obvious things first. I didn't do that. If I checked that carburetor, we might have been without power for half an hour on Thursday, not 4 days. So anyway, I think I'm gonna go take Cedar to lunch. We have to drop the plow truck off to get that manifold fixed. And there's a snowstorm rolling in. So as usual, we're making the best of what we have to work with, but I'm excited because the generator's back online. Keep it. Okay, we are about to disconnect our batteries with this solar system for the last time. The new batteries will be here in minutes. I've got to get everything kind of removed in preparation for them to get here. We're pretty excited, but it's going to take all day to get this done. I'm thinking it's going to take all day to get this done.
But when the sun's out?
Doesn't matter.
We have some light.
Yeah, we have light. Yeah, we have light.
In the dark.
This giant battery box is going to go away. We're excited about that. It should be a lot cleaner look. That's the other thing we're looking forward to. But more than anything, it's basically double our capacity. That's the thing we're really looking forward to.
No more dark days.
No more dark days. So, there we go. I'm going to shut it down.
Okay, good luck.
Ready? Bada boom, bada bing. Here we go. Now I've got to do this without dropping a box and wrench on either terminal and creating a light show. So there we go. We tried to let it go as long as we could to charge all the camera batteries.
I bet.
But I'll have this ready to jerk out of here.
Yeah, we'll help you. We'll help you haul it all out. I brought. There's 4 of us.
4 of
So
you.
we brought the army. This is Steve.
Okay.
Not Steven,
Right.
who you've talked to.
I'm Steven.
You're
This is
Steven.
I'm Steven.
And
Nice to
then
meet
we
you.
brought Tom. So we have
What's up, buddy?
we
How
have
are
2
you?
engineers with us today, so we really can't screw this up.
Well,
It was Thanksgiving Day a year ago when I first had a conversation with Brian from Lion Energy. At some point along the way, Brian had watched a few of our videos, and he recognized the battle that we were fighting with our batteries at that time, and he had a solution. The day we first spoke on the phone happened to be the same day that my son Rhett was coming out of surgery after breaking his leg from getting a little bit too crazy on the inner tube after a fresh 18 inches of snow. Brian and I have been friends since. He's just a good guy. He treats me like a long-lost buddy every time I see him, and he's most definitely helped us better our situation here at Red Poppy Ranch. The fact that they're only a few hours away from us has most definitely helped things. But after getting our new and improved solar system installed, I can tell you Cedar no longer has a struggle with her blow dryer and curling iron. After I woke up and went downstairs this morning, she had a grin on her face from ear to ear, and she informed me that she was happy. She was able to use her curling iron and blow dryer without using the step-down inverter that we've had to use for the last year.
okay, it's about time to do some maintenance on the water filters. This is a standard sediment filter. This is our ultraviolet light that kills anything living in the water as far as bacteria is concerned. And then that's basically it as far as drinking water. I have a couple of other filters associated with a water heater on the hot water side. But on the cold water side, I've wanted to add what's called a carbon block for quite some time. This is the housing, the filter housing. I washed my hands, made sure my hands were clean and free of any contaminants potentially. Same size filter housing called a 20-inch Big Blue. It's very standard in the plumbing and the water treatment industry. Same bracket, all that good stuff, but different filtration method. This is a sediment filter. This is the carbon block. Sediment's going to pick up the big stuff, the dirt, anything coming through potentially down to like 5 microns, something like that. The carbon block, because we have a shallow well, the carbon's important to me for a few reasons. Carbon's going to pick up things that a sediment filter can. Carbon's going to pick up VOCs. Carbon's going to pick up even bacterias. It's going to make the water taste better. Reverse osmosis systems have a carbon block as well as a secondary carbon filter as well. And I've wanted to do this for a long time. The problem is I don't have a whole lot of space. This is my last piece of 1-inch PEX. I don't want to go back to town. I don't want to spend an hour and a half driving to town. I'm supposed to meet my oldest daughter, Sage, in about 2 hours. I've got minimal fittings. I've got minimal pipe. I got to get this done. I got to be careful about how I do this so I don't waste any pipe or fittings. But I want to scoot this down to the next stud so I have it hanging securely off a stud. I want to mount this filter on this stud And the other thing I don't have is a coupling, a 1-inch PEX coupling. For whatever reason, I can't find them right now. So I'm gonna have to get crafty. That's the bottom line. I can do it. I'm good at getting crafty. I'm gonna shut the system down. Nobody's home right now. It's a good time to do this. I'm gonna shut the system down. I'm gonna drain the ultraviolet tank so it's not so heavy. I'm gonna scoot that over first, get that reconnected, and see how this goes. We're about to see how dirty the water is out of our shallow well. This is the sediment filter. Okay, this filter is about 9 months old, maybe a little bit older than that, and it's more than doing its job. It's getting the sand and the dirt out of the water. I'm going to wash this out real quick and then put the new filter in. Okay. Now again, make sure your hands are clean when you do this. Especially in our situation, we don't have chlorine in our water consistently, which I'm okay with. I don't want chlorine any more than I have to. But you're potentially exposed to bacterias by not having chlorine. So make sure it's set down on there. Now once this is installed, I'm going to slowly turn the water on and bleed all the air out. And there's also going to be some carbon that comes out of this. A little tiny bit of carbon. Now we're going to slowly open this. Sediment filter changed. It was necessary. It was overdue. Carbon filter installed. I have a tiny pinhole leak. Not even a pinhole, but it's actually coming through the brass. Like there was a bad casting in that brass. And I have another fitting to replace that with, but I have to run and meet Sage, my oldest daughter down south. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit if that calcified over and stopped leaking, but I gotta watch that. But it's not the filter housing, anything like that. Now that we have that secondary carbon block in place, it just confirms that our water is not only gonna taste good, but no bad stuff's coming through. A carbon block's gonna get rid of any chemicals, not any chemicals, some chemicals, even petroleum based products. It's gonna get rid of some bacterias. Having the three of these, the sediment filter, the carbon block, and the ultraviolet light, basically means that we're good to go. Shallow wells are more prone to contamination by nature. The deeper your well is, the earth is the best water filter out there. But the problem with around here is you go not very deep. You know, 100, 125, 150 feet deep, you can very easily get into the hot water that we have around here, which is oftentimes accompanied by a heavy sulfur smell, lots of calcium that's going to calcify everything, incredibly hard water, even iron problems sometimes. And I have friends that their wells have turned out that way. So spending $10, $15, $20, $25,000 on a well and then finding out that your water's never going to be great, it's kind of a bummer. So our shallow well, we love the water that comes out of it. It tastes wonderful already. Now it's going to taste even better. But the truth is, if you don't think an earthworm, at a minimum, has fallen into that well, you're crazy. Okay, that's why we shock it once a year. We shock the tanks once a year. It's only 18 feet deep. It's very possible that something could get in there. It'd have to be pretty small, but This just guarantees that if we ingest it, we're not going to get hurt. Makes me feel a little bit better about things. This Sunday's video, we're going to get into the electric on the shop. I've had the panel, the wiring, the boxes, everything out there waiting. I had to get the plow truck done. We dropped the plow truck off to get the exhaust leak fixed a couple hours ago. So it's time to get back on that shop, get the electrical done. Now that our lovely solar system, our new solar system is in and working beautifully, not only do we have a ton more room in the utility room, but I'm certain we have plenty of power for the shop. And I can't wait to tell you about it. I can't tell you about it right now. In a little bit of time, you'll know why. But I'm ready to have lights out there in the shop. I want to get that done, get that inspected, and get on to drywall. We're still about 14 days away from getting the garage door installed. But I'm ready to be warm and comfortable out there and start working on some inside projects. Start working on maybe get Rhett's truck, see if we can't get Rhett's truck on the road before Christmas. But anyway, it was a trying week. It was a hard week. The end result with that little generator out there, minor things. I still may upgrade that generator, especially now with our new battery bank. This 8 kilowatt generator is working pretty hard to charge it, and it probably wouldn't hurt to put a 15, a 14, or a 15, or maybe even a 20 kilowatt generator in. That's going to be it's just not going to use and abuse it. And I don't know if it's using and abusing the 8 kilowatt generator or not, but my gut feeling is it's not quite enough. And by the way, Kohler said, if you are in the manual, it says if you are off grid, your warranty is non-existent. So I think you have to go to at least a 12 kilowatt to have a warranty. So I may look at one of the Cummins generators. It's either going to be probably a Cummins or a Kohler. They seem to be the two top brands. So anyway, we overcame. You know, we went 4 days without power, but looking back on it, obviously it was all beneficial. You know, I'll check the carburetor first next time. So be good, you guys.
We got power, Bandit.